Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Welcome to all the guests. Shkoyach. We have Reb Nochem Horovitz and his father from Baltimore. Yesterday I didn't notice, but we had a very special guest, and he's here today again. Morty Rasby, a day after surgery, came to Shir. I actually saw him leave the Beis Medrash yesterday. It took him, 10, 15 minutes to get to his car. He was walking step by step. So such Mesechtas Megillah, just a lot of chizuk for the olam here. I sponsored today's Daf Yomi my father Ted Resnick to be Moshe ben Yisrael Levi upon his third yahrzeit. He lived and taught me when I was younger that the hardest part of sitting and learning is sitting. Don't worry about sitting. Eli attaches a picture of us. Not even a year ago, just after Pesach, he gave the shir live in Cedars at Ben Schwartz's house. We couldn't even get a minyan together. That was like at 12 o'clock at night with an hour's notice. It was beautiful there, and here he is. Doing the daf in Dubai. And we have here from Adam Ohio. It's been quite a few Mesechtas since I've joined MDY, and Baruch Hashem, I had the opportunity to bring my boys with me to every siyum to hopefully inspire them. Turns out that they both wanted to finish the Mesechta and insisted that I bring them on board and get them a Gemara. I did just that, and Baruch Hashem, my boys are doing the daf with you each day. I don't know how much they get out of it, but when I asked my 8-year-old which 3 korbanos we bring on the Chag, he named them no problem. I was shocked, an 8-year-old. When I came home from work, I asked my wife where the boys are. She said they were doing the daf. I couldn't believe my ears. See the pictures. Also, we were on vacation this past weekend. My son insisted we bring the Gemaras, no breaks from the daf, pics. Thank you, Reb Eli, for being so instrumental in making this a reality. I can't wait to make a scene with my boys very soon. Adam, Ohio, Toronto. Here he is. Doing the daf. I walked into the mincha a few minutes early to see Menachem Weirib, Chaverim of Rockland 90, finishing today's daf. Here he is. Eli Stefansky, I'm a 13-year-old bacher, Lubavitch bacher, in the Cheder in Morristown, New Jersey. The way I got into daf is because mitzvah gereris, mitzvah that I learned with my father, Mesechtas Brachas. You want me to smile for you, Avi? I made a siyum for my... Oh, okay. So what's... First time you saw you in shir here?
First time.
Wow. Sitting there with the camera, taking pictures.
I'm getting requests to take videos from this location now. It charges. Yeah.
Why are you standing over there, Tzaddik? Because I didn't let you go around. You punishing me? Come, no, sit over there. There's a seat over here? There's one available right here. Come. It's very loud. Mazah? Oh, it's a video? The other one, not that one. Okay. Do you have the one with the 2 girls? Show that one. It's good stuff. Oh, this is give. Oh, time out. Stop it for a second. This is somebody desperate to get a free Gemara, trying to recruit somebody at the Kessler. Okay, now you can play.
Eli Stefansky, okay? ויש 10,000 לומדים איתו.
He's telling him YouTube. The guy goes, YouTube. He never heard of it. Never in his life. Okay, next. How about those 2 kids fighting? I like that one. Meanwhile, I'll read another one. It's geschmack to learn the. What the guy was a big mamidas. He stood there for a full minute. Oh, you got it? There's a father sneaking up on his kids. They're fighting if it's or I. That's today's fights, Rabbi said. This is what we're Nebuch, the new generation. I am 13-year-old Lubavitch Bacher in the Cheder, Morristown, Mitzvah Gereris Mitzvah. I learned with my father, Mesechtas Brachas, and made a scene for my class. A different kid's father does Daf Yomi, so he decided to do it because of me. Then we made him, I made him join Moed Kattan. I want to finish say the Moed. So every day after school, when I finish this, I watch the video. I'm learning Eruvin. So he says, not only does he do today's Daf, but he wants to finish the entire Moed. So he does a Daf and Eruvin every day as well. I want to come to the Siyum in Eretz Yisrael, but I can't pay for it. Hold on, I have another email here. Jonathan Austin, I absolutely despise that buzzer. Just do everyone a big favor and get rid of it. Terrible. Get rid of it, Gary. Get rid of it. Anyways, this kid can't pay for his ticket. I would be very appreciative if you can maybe sponsor the flight. Yosef, I told you not to let these emails through.
You have to get 20 people to sign up.
Oh, anybody that signs up 20 people, Marad Nakash is giving you a free flight. It's almost impossible. 20 people from now to then. Thank you for everything you did for me. I now have a bigger taiva for learning. Sincerely, Tzvi Goldberg. Please get back to me about the flight. I just did. Rabbi Isai. What? I should be nice to the guy? Oh. Rabbi Isai, so we're starting a brand new Masechta next week. Mesechtas Yivames. So we have a number of ways. People that don't know and they're new, you get somebody to join the Daf, you tell them, join the Daf, and you get a free Gemara. And they have to go to join.dafyomi.com. You go to growtheshir.com. Now, the other thing you can do is, you get a full box of Gemara, so a certain amount of Gemaras, 2 boxes. Some guys in Los Angeles, the guy gets 2 boxes. Rafael the barber gets 3, 4, I don't know. So there's still, if you have a business or you're in a place where you could get to different people, a certain amount of people, you could ask for bulk, and that you do growmdy.com. Now, this month's sponsor for the Koil is Mr. Anonymous Lilin Chaya Bas Yosef. Maseches Chagigah is dedicated by the Kessler and Davis families. Refuah shleima for Miriam Esther Bas Devora bekorov. Paras HaChodesh as a zechus for Shlomo ben Lifsha and Rivka bas Gila. They should be zoche to Zera Shel Kayama bekorov. Zera Shel Kayama, big one. Meir Resnick, lezchar nishmat Tobia Moshe ben Yisrael Leib Halevi Ted Resnick from Pennsylvania and Renana upon his 3rd yahrzeit. By the way, there's a new Paras HaChodesh. Welcome a new Paras HaChodesh. Shauly Rosenfeld in memory of my dear friend Yehuda Augenbaum. The Klagsburn grandchildren, Lili Nishmas, Shalamis, Bas Yeshaya. By Menashe and Shendel Blaustein, in honor of Moshe Kinsbursky. By the way, real quickly, last night I was on a Zoom meeting, the first one ever, and I think we should do a lot more of these. I was on a Zoom meeting with the guys from Los Angeles. Over 30 guys were on, got to meet people. They asked me all these questions. The best question was, why are your sleeves not buttoned? That was the toughest one I got last night, but it was great. And I saw the sponsor of turning of the daf, Moshe Kinsbursky. So here, it's in honor of Moshe Kinsbursky for introducing me to MDY and me finishing my first Mesechta ever, Mesechtas Megillah, the Moed Kattan, now going for a hat trick with Chagigah. Also in honor of Reb Eli for his amazing shurim all that he does for Klal Yisrael. Shkoyach. Jonathan Davidov, in memory of Bechor Davidov ben Penir, anonymous person in honor of our daughter being accepted to seminary. By Nachum Horowitz and family sitting right here. Lezech Nishmas, my mother, Tziparish Prinsa, Bas Yankiv Shraga, and Shlomo should have an Aliyah. Yishkoyach for coming, Yishkoyach for bringing your father. Today's daf is daf Tes Vav. Oh, let me just show this real quickly. In London, they're doing a beautiful siyum. They have this unbelievable place, the Nancy Rubin Banqueting Hall. I have no idea, but it sounds very cool. The Nancy Rubin. This is in London. The siyum on Seder Moed in London. So check it out. All right. We're holding Daf Tes Vav Amud Aleph. Just to be clear, 2 people asked me yesterday, so maybe there's a little bit of a misunderstanding. I didn't explain the word sirus. Sirus is to neuter. So midoiraisa, it's usher to neuter your dog, your cat, your pet. It's an isur doiraisa. The Torah says you can't neuter animals. So what do people do to get around it? Some people don't know that it's usher. Many people don't know. I ask people, how did you neuter your dog? What do you mean, how did I neuter? I went to the vet, I neutered. No, it's usher. Oh, really? Yeah, it's isur doiraisa. Oh, so people, what they do is they sell it to a non-Jew, and the non-Jew brings it to the vet, but the Rabbanim here hold that it doesn't work. And that's what I said. There's no heter mechira for animals. If you have a Rav that says there is, that's your thing. I couldn't find one in this neighborhood. That was yesterday's sugya. That's what? Yeah, you could buy it neutered. But once you have an animal, and if you don't neuter it, it's terrible. They act crazy, and it's a lot of tsar, and they tell you it could cause them cancer and everything. But there's no heter. We can't find a good heter to do it. Says the Gemara. Tana Rabbana. We are 6 lines down. Tana Rabbana, Ma'aseh Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. Again, very long daf, so put your finger in. Let's try to. We had Nisim and the flies. We were able to finish these dafim. Today it doesn't look good because of a late start. Ma'aseh Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya shoy oimed al gav amalo be'maylo be'harabais. He was standing on top of a step on harabais. I was just curious to know if it's because of where he was that he had this vision, or just so happened to be that the Gemara says he was there. Ben Zoyma walks by, and he's kind of in a different world. So he wasn't upset at him. He was right away, he was down like Kavschus. He said, this person is in space. He's in somewhere else. He's not here. He's not with us. Where are you? I was looking into the difference between the upper waters and the lower waters. In other words, he's looking into Maaseh Bereishis. And I realized that the whole difference is only 3 finger breaths difference between the upper and the lower water. Hovering above the water. Like a pigeon that usually hovers over its young about 3 finger breaths. You could tell that Ben Zoyma is not proficient in the Maaseh Bereishis, I guess. This pasuk is quoting the pasuk is quoting about hovering is the first day. But when HaKadosh Baruch Hu divided the waters, that was on the second day. He's mixing up days. So how much is it? It's only a hairbreadth. Like the planks of a bridge, something like this. So wood, you try to get it tight together, but it's still not going to be 100% touching in every area, but some of it is. So this is a little bit more than a kimloi nima, because some of it is touching, some of it isn't. Wood is crooked, wood is not 100%. Did I skip? Like 2 pieces of cloth that are on top of each other, so pretty much touching, but not in everywhere. Mazeh? Wow. After yesterday's Zoom call, Moshe Ben Arosh donated 150 Gemaras through the website. 150 Gemaras. Wow. Pshee! That's yours? Shkoyach. Anybody else want to donate 200 Gemaras? We'll stop for a minute for that. All right. Like 2 pieces of cloth that are one.
Zayma was like not completely Seder.
Why?
That's how he learns it. That he was still not Seder. Chutz midaita, he says.
What do you mean? Like
he was one of the 4 that went into the place that you don't go. He came out. It was pagam. He hurt himself.
That's that. You're saying it's based on that thing.
Based on the 4
Who says this?
He's quoting something.
Varilo kisrei kase the schifi ahadadi. So it's like 2 cups, one on top of the other. Each one it's touching even more because there's perfect form, so they touch even more. Whereas clothing, some touches, some doesn't, and the pieces of the bridge are even further apart. And of course, kimloi nima There's also one pshat that I saw, and it goes into what we speak a lot about, is that the difference between the upper, the ruchnius, and the lower, the gashmius, is kimloi nima. It's always a hairbreadth. In other words, you could do the same ice, you could do any type in this world, and it could be gashmius, and it could be ruchnius, depending on what lays in your head. If you have the right machshava, kimloi nima, all it is, it's a hairbreadth. It's a 10-second thought, and you change you could eat pizza, and it could be l'shem shamayim. You could eat it could be stam to pig out. So that's kimloi nima. That's what I saw. Pshat, zog the Gemara. Acher kitzes benetiyos. Acher. We're talking about Remeir's Rebbe. Acher, the Gemara calls him Acher. Kitzes benetiyos. He chopped down the wood. Now we're talking about pardes. We're talking about the orchard of pardes, and Elisha ben Avoy, he came into the pardes and he chopped down wood. In other words, he's mekalkel. He came in and he saw something and he didn't understand it. Instead of having a question and leaving, he took the question and he changed his ashkafa. Kizis benetias, he chopped down wood. He ruined it. All of because of Omer, al tidin es picha lachatiz b'sarecha. Don't let your mouth ruin your flesh. Mahi chaza mitatron. Mitatron is a malach. Now, just as a side note, there's a Tosfos in Yevamis Daf Yud that says Mitatron was Chanoich. And because he was nifter earlier, he came up there and Kodesh Baruch Hu made him to something. Tosfos. Rashi in Chumash says Mitatron is the same gematria as Shakai, 314. Why am I saying this? Because you see, Mitatron had some sort of power. This Yav le Reshuso le Mesav le Michtav Zachvasa de Yisrael. He saw Mitatron sitting down, writing down the zchusim of Klal Yisrael. There's no competition upstairs. There's no sitting down. Nobody has a back of a neck. They have 4 faces. They're all face over there. They don't have awareness. So what's going on? What am I seeing here? Perhaps I'm seeing, and again, if you understand this Rashi, that Mitatron had power. So he viewed it as if there are 2 HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Kaviyachol. So that's where he went off. Now, to me, I was shocked when I saw. I always thought that if I personally saw a malach, if I got to see a malach, like this little thing walking across the table, I knew it was a malach and it disappeared. Wouldn't it change my life forever? I'll probably toss away my iPhone and learn even more, and and not talk lashon hara. He sees everything. He saw it all, and with seeing all that, you're able to go off. It's incredible.
Because of that.
Yeah, I'm saying he had a kasha. So they took out Mitatron to show him that he's not in charge. They beat him 60 times with a fiery stick. And they told Mitatron, why don't you get up for him? He's a Tana. He's a great Tana. They gave Mitatron the ability to erase all his chusim. Listen to this. Shuvu banim shevavim. Do tshuva. Chut me'acher. It's interesting because his name wasn't Acher yet. The Gemara later is going to say later on why his name was Acher. They said everybody could do tshuva besides Acher. Now, if you look inside all the Sfarim, everybody, I saw it in at least 10, 12 places. Everybody says Acher could have done tshuva. There was a baskel that said he can't, but he should have fought it and he should have gone, and everybody has the right to do tshuva. Omar says Acher, since I'm gone, I can't go into Gan Eden anymore. Let me at least enjoy this world. He went off the derech. Says the Gemara, what did he do first? What was his first aveira that he did in public? He saw Zoyna, Tava. He demanded Omrele, and she told him, Elisha ben Avuat. Whoa, you're the famous Tana. So to prove to her that he went off the derech, he picked a radish off the ground, whatever that resembles. I don't know. I'm sure the Sfarim talk about it. On Shabbos, he said, "Here, I'm not from anymore. You see, I pick vegetables on Shabbos." Omra Acherhu. So she named him. That's it. You're Acher. Finished. Shal achas Remeir la'achar sheyotzal tabris ra. So Remeir asked, Acher asked Remeir. Huh?
She thought it was a different person. It's a different person. Or means
No. She recognized him. She saw the Gdolim pictures. How's it possible? Zoyna, how's it possible?
She said either she said
Okay.
I made a mistake.
What? He said, no, I went off. No, Acher. She gave him the name.
Different person.
No.
No.
She named him. Finished.
It means it's either you went off the derech of a different person.
It's a lashon like that, but okay. Acher, Shal Acher is Remeir. Acher is Remeir. La'acher sheyotzal tabris ra. Omalei. What does it mean? This complementing the other thing that Hashem made. So the first pshat in the Gemara is, the way Remeir explained it, is that it's not opposite. It's complementing. Bara Harim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created very large mountains. Bar Gvais, he also created smaller hills. Bar Yamim, the great oceans. Bar Naharais, he also created rivers. Omar lo, so Acher tells Rebbe Meir, Rebbe Kiva Rabcha, lo yomar kach. He was also his Rebbe. Rebbe Kiva is also your Rebbe. Ela bar tzadikim bar Rishayim. No, it's zelu mazeh. The opposites. He created tzadikim, he created Rishayim. Bar Gan Eden, bar Gehenim, he created Gan Eden, he created Gehenim. Kol echad ve'echad yesh li shnei chalakim. Everybody has the ability, echad b'Gan Eden, echad b'Gehenim. Zoche tzadik, not a chalko v'chelik chaveiro b'Gan Eden. A tzadik, and this is a huge chiddush, could take the piece of the Rasha, this chayiv Rasha, not a chelko v'chelik chaveiro b'Gehenim. The Rasha takes the chelik of the tzaddik's Gehenim, and it needs a lot of explanation. First of all, the Chafetz Chaim says on this Gemara that's referring to a tzaddik who was damaged by a Rasha. If there's a Rasha that sits and screams in the street, don't listen to this guy, he's terrible, don't go to his drushes, so that Rasha hurt the tzaddik, so the tzaddik gets that Rasha's Gan Eden. That's the Chafetz Chaim. The Aflah says that the tzaddik protects the Rasha, so therefore he deserves his Gan Eden. The Yankov also says something similar, that the tzaddik causes good in the world, the Rasha causes bad in the world. Others say the tzaddik, by him doing mitzvahs, by him learning Torah, it makes other people want to learn Torah. By a Rasha doing Averis, it makes other people want to do Averis. Mela, each one gets the other one's chelik. We saw a similar thing, by the way, that tzaddikim get the Rishayim's years. Now it's also, you die early, different things. So you get to share in other people's years, Gan Eden, different things. Omar Misharishyo, my crow, tzaddikim ksiv, lochem ba'artzom, Mishnah Yerushu. They're going to Yarshin double. Gaber Rishayim, the tzaddikim are going to Yarshin double. Gaber Rishayim ksiv, o Mishnah Shibaroin Shavram. So you see in the pasuk, you get double. What does it double mean? You get the other person's chelik. The Rasha gets double. The tzaddik gets double. Shal Acher is Remeir. Lachshi gets a taber. Surah Acher is Remeir. Ma'idach siv lo yachen ozav uschuchis. So the first pasuk Yud Beis says it's talking about chachma, and then also in pasuk Yud Zayin it says lo yachena zav uschuchis. You can't quantify it. Zav uschuchis utmurasa klipaz. So what does that mean? Amar lo elu divrei Torah. We're talking about Torah. Shekashim leknoisim kchlizav uchlipaz. They're like gold and even better gold. If you don't chazer, you don't review, you lose everything you have. So it's talking about Torah. Chachma is Torah, schuchis, and zav, depending on how you treat it. Amalei Rebbe Kiva, Amalei Rebbe Kiva Rabcha lo yamakach says, "Acher, that's not how your Rebbe said it. Eloma kli zav uchli schuchis af b'shenish bru yeshem takana. You can fix it up. After Talmud Chacham af b'shesarach yeshli takana. He's hinting about himself. Even if a Talmud Chacham goes off, he could always come back. Omar Loi, so Ramesh says, if you believe that, why don't you do tshuva? Omar Loi, Fashamati ma'achari apargod, I heard from behind the curtain, shuvu barim shevim, chutz ma'acher, I can't go back. I think we should look in Taisus. It's a very long Taisus, and I want to do a lot of it with you if we have the chance here. Taisus shuvu barim gives us a lot of insight to what's going on here. First, he starts off, Yishalmi mefarish lo meir lekach. Why did it happen? Gemara is going to say later he used to listen to music, but Here's some other reasons. This is crazy. He killed people that were learning Torah with shemais. Any Talmud that was matzliach, he would kill him. You'd go to the cheder. If you saw a kid in front of the sefer that's matzliach, we're familiar with this. The Rebbe that says things to the kid, that chases the kid off the door. Just yesterday, I was talking to my uncle. I said, "No, what's with your daughter?" He says, she was in seminary and she had a few teachers that were right of her. They were right of her, and now she's off. He blamed it on the teacher. I don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of people have issues. And you see over here, the Rebbe went in there to the cheder. He yelled at the kids, and he chased them out of the cheder. And for that, and Taisus puts it together with Ritzicha. First he says he killed people, then he says no, he didn't kill them. He chased them out of cheder. Same thing. So now we could skip a little bit, maybe. All the way, here's the story. It's like a third down or more. So he himself is saying the story. My father, Elisha is saying, Avuya, my father, was from the greatest in Yerushalayim. By my bris, he brought all the Gdolim into the house. And he brought them, those two, Reb Eli in a different place. Everybody's dancing, singing. These guys are dancing, let's learn Torah. They were learning Torah. Says Tais is unbelievable. A fire from heaven came down and surrounded Rabbi Yeshua and Reb Eliezer. Gavrin, what, you came to burn my house? No, chas v'shalom. We're learning. Sinai, we're so happy, like Sinai. So Elisha's father says like this. You're not going to believe this. If this is what happens when you learn Torah, I want my son to learn Torah. So if you read Taisus, is that a bad thing or a good thing? It's a great thing. It was bad. Because what was his kavana? His kavana was that people should say, what? Oh, look at my son. He has fire coming out. Not that he should learn Torah. B'kitzur, we don't have time. Read this Taisvis. He says that his mother went by Avodah Zara, one reason. Another one is that he saw the tongue of Chutzpitz. What was his name? Turgamon. B'kitzur, she smelled the reich of Avodah Zara. Kitzur, go into the Taisvis. We don't have time. I would love to do it, but we got to go back. The Torah Rabbana. He's Mechal Shabbos, he's driving his car in Shabbos. Meir is chasing him to learn Torah. He's on foot, of course, because it's Shabbos. You can't go anymore. I measured, it's already tchum. For you, it's also, I don't want to be machshel you. So, two things I see from this. First of all, after he went off the derech, what was he busy with? Learning Torah all day. That's what he's busy with. You see, the entire time he asked this question, that question, learning Torah. Another thing you see from here, it's not so posh that you're allowed to, but you see that Meir, how much Meir wanted to learn Torah. He knew his Rebbe was a bad guy. He knew his Michal Shabbos. Imagine running after Rebbe on Shabbos and he's in a car going slowly. Hey, Rebbe, tell me pshat. Michal Shabbos. Throw a stone at the car. No, he had to learn Torah. We're going to see in a second if that's okay or not. Omalei Meir. Chazor lacharecha. Yeah, so Omalei, avatach chazor b'cha. What do you mean I should go back? You go back. You do tshuva. I told you, no, I can't do tshuva. I'm a goner, but he was wrong. He's not a goner. Everybody can do tshuva. Even people that are over on Gila, Shvichus Damim, Avodah Zara, everybody can do tshuva. Takve. So Meir got forceful with him. He grabbed him. He put him in a shul. And we had this a few times by the Megillah with Mordechai. It's like a nevuah. Whatever the child says, whatever comes out of his mouth is like a nevuah. What did you learn today in Cheder? Omar loy, ein shalom Omar Hashem l'Rishayim. Hashem says there's no peace for a Rasha. Wow, he took it bad, he took it hard. Talking to me, I'm a Rasha. You know what? Maybe this Nevu is no good, maybe there's another better one. Let's go to another Rav. Acher tells the kid, tell me what you learned today. Even if you'll wash your clothing with Neser, and you'll use soap, Nichtam, a ketem, there's going to be a stain. Finish, you're a goner. He kept on going to different shuls. Maybe you'll have a different pshat. Let me hear your pasuk. Va'at shodod matasi kisil b'shishani kisadi adi zahav kisigri v'puchinayich. Whatever you do, you're going to put on gold. You're going to put makeup on. L'shav t'siapi. It's not going to help you. You're not going to beautify yourself. He went to another shul. He went to 13. Kulu pasku beki hagav, and everybody told him bad news. Lebasra Amalei Psuk Lipsukach, and the last one he said, "Nu, what's in the pasuk Amalei? Vila Rasha Amalekim Malachol Asaper Chuka." He told the Rasha Kitzer it was bad news. Says the Gemara, "Ayu Yinuka have megamgem belishane." This kid was a stutterer. Ishtama Kimoda Amarlei, and Elisha heard it. Elisha Amalekim, instead of hearing Vila Rasha, it sounded or he mumbled it out. Vila Elisha Amalekim, he got the hint. You know what? Let's just say we sponsored the Tzvah is sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Chewy, Woody, and the Kale twins, and sponsored by Moshe Kinsbursky in honor of Brian and Talia Edgar. Acher had a knife, vikare, and he chopped up the kid, and he sent 13 pieces to the shul. Now, like Pilegish Begiva. The Ben Yehuda says, I don't like that pshat. That's not what happened. What happened was he tore up the sefer that they were reading from, that the kid was reading from. He tore that up and sent it out to everybody to show, hey, I can't do tshuva anymore. If I would have had a knife, I would cut you up. Which is a very nice lashon, by the way. It's a lashon that you use on G'daylim. When Acher was nifter. Not when he died, he was nifter. You know, it's like a nicer way. Army. What should we do with him? We can't put him in Gehenim. We can't put him in Gan Eden. What do we do? We can't. Unbelievable. He's a koifer and he's a this and he said all this stuff. But at the end of the day, he has Torah. He was a great Tana and he's in Avos, mentioned with his name and everything. We can't put him in Gehenim. And we can't put him in Gan Eden because he sinned. Says Reb Meir, I think it's better they should go to Gehenna so that he could purify himself and eventually end up in Gan Eden sometime. And he said, Mosai Amos ve'ele osham mikivroi. I can't wait for the day that I die and you'll see smoke coming out of his grave. Says the Gemara, Reb Meir, where Reb Meir was nifter, soli kutra mikivri da'acher. Smoke indeed came out of the grave of Acher for a long time until the following story. Yeah, well, we'll see at the end of the story. He said something that seems like he did tshuva. It's kimoy tshuva, like tshuva. A quick story. I read this. You could argue not, yes, but there was the ability to save the Jews of Romania for 500 trucks. Give the Nazis 500 trucks. And there was a guy by the name of Greenbaum who said, it's better one cow. This was his lashon in Hebrew. One cow is better than 1,000,000 Jews with white socks. And he nixed the deal. And later on, this person's grandchild became a Baal Tshuva, and they brought him to the stipler. And the stipler said, now that you did tshuva, maybe your grandfather will be able to go into Gehenna. So it's a zechus to go into Gehenna. Gehenna purifies a neshama. Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Gevurta lemikla, is it a big deal? What you're so strong? It's a gevura lemikla to burn Rabbi. You're burning your Rebbe in Gehenna. That's a big thing. We had one guy go off the derech. We can't save his soul. If I was able to grab him, who's going to stop me? You see, the smoke was still going on a long time later to the generation of Reb Yochanan. It was to show people, don't be like Acher. Smoke still comes out of there. I'm saying, if we saw one thing like that, we saw smoke coming out of a caver, you wouldn't, but then you'd say, no, it's a natural phenomenon. There's something, the smoke comes out of in what is it called over there? In Keystone, no, Yellowstone, and there, okay, fine. Okay, fine. But Rebbe Yochanan Davin, Rebbe Yochanan was nifter that day, the smoke stopped. Pasach alei, Aus Abdana, says the famous, the paid eulogizer. Aus Abdana. Afilu shoymer Pesach lo yom lefonecha Rabbeinu, he said about Rebbe Yochanan, even the shoymer Pesach, the guard at the Gehenim couldn't stop you. So there's a famous joke that Reb Nachman was walking by Gehenim and he saw one of his Hasidim there, so he grabbed him by the pace and pulled him out of Gehenim. Comes the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he sees one of his Hasidim, grabs and pulls him out. A Rosh Yeshiva walks by, he looks at his guy, he says, I told you so! Another ending is that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he walked by and he said, no, you stay there, we need you there for shlichus. Says the Gemara. Oh, but there, you see the word Rabbeinu. Okay, Bita Shel Acher, Asi L'Kamei the Rebbe. The daughter of Acher showed up to Rebbe. Amar lei, Rebbe Parnaseini, I need money. I need tzedakah. Amar lo Basmiat, who's your father? Amar loi, Bita Shel Acher ani. And the daughter of Elisha ben Refuah. The daughter of Acher. Amar lo, Adayish Mizari Ba'olam. Dangerous stuff. When I started to read this, I'm like, what happens when Rebbe says things like this? She probably died on the spot. Like what? He has descendants, but it's possible he saw right away that she was a good person. There's not going to be any zecher to you. Remember him for his Torah and don't remember him for his bad deeds. Rebbe got like a zet, sort of like a hint from Shemayim. Out comes a fire and burns his chair. Bacha v'amar. Rebbe many times in Shas, in Avodah Zarah at least 3 times, in 3 different occasions. Bacha Rebbe cried. Yesh koina elam v'sha'achas. And in other places also, he cried when you're able to see how special Torah is. Bacha v'amar Rebbe. Uma lemizganim bokach. Lemshtachim ba'alachas kama kama. Somebody like Acher, who put down the Torah, at the end of his life, he was against it all. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu was protecting him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent a fire. So kavachoymer lemishtabchim ba, somebody that's a Talmid Chacham and learns Torah, alachas kama v'kama, certainly the zchusim he has. Meir asked the Gemara, how is Meir allowed to learn Torah from Acher? Amar Rav V'chana, Amar Reb Yochanan, ma'idich siv kisif sekoyin yishmur das. Does anybody remember this pasuk? When? We had it a month ago. By the story of the wasp biting somebody in an interesting place. That's the way the Gemara says it. If the Rebbe is like a malach, then you're allowed to learn from him. So, obviously, Acher is not a Malach Alikim. How did Remeir learn Torah from a non-Malach Alikim? Amar Shlokish, Remeir Krash, Kach V'darash. He has a different pasuk, a contradiction to the first pasuk. Hat Oznecho Shma Divrei Chachamim. Listen closely to the Chachamim. V'livcha Toshis L'daiti. L'daitam Lo Nemar L'daiti. They might be off. Their hashkafa might be off. Listen to my hashkafa, but you can listen to their Torah of these Rabbeim that are off. Rav Chanina Omer Shimi v'Asuri v'Atiyos Naich v'Shichi Amech u'Beis Avich. Okay, another source. So you can listen to Torah from somebody that's off. The bottom line is Kosher Kura Adadi, but we have a pasuk Malach Elikim, Malach Hashem Tzvakos. Says the Gemara like Kashi, Haba Gadol, Haba Kattan. If the person is a great person, he knows how to learn, so he knows how to be careful from this Russia or whatever he is. So he'll take the good and leave the bad. But somebody that's not experienced, he'll be influenced by him. Don't learn by him. It's interesting because they asked the question. I don't know that they say this answer, but they asked the question about the Rambam. The Rambam doesn't paskin this. He doesn't say you're allowed to learn. He says you're not allowed to learn from anybody. If you're off the derech, don't learn from him at all. But the Rambam himself learned by people and read all sorts of interesting books. Seemingly that he held that he was on the level that he could. Maybe he just didn't want to. He didn't want to tell to berabim. Says the Gemara. It's not halach that you want to paskin. In other words, because people say, "Oh, I think I'm on a madrega that I can handle it." So each person to their own. Yazar Avdimi Omar, I'm Marava Remeir Ochal Tachla Vishada Shichla Libara. He ate a date and he tossed out the pit. Remeir is able to take the good and leave the bad behind. The date, the fruit is on the outside, the pit is on the inside. Now we're going to see something similar but different. Darish Rava Maidach Siv. I went into the orchard, into the garden of the nuts. It has a very hard exterior, so you could put whatever you want on it. You could put cement, soya, whatever you want. You just crack it open and eat the inside, and you're good. I can't read my own handwriting. Okay. So at the end of the day, the Torah is protected, even though there's exterior, there might be tzoy on the outside, but Torah never leaves. Torah is able to save. Ashkechi Rabbi Bar Shila Eliyahu. Rabbi Bar Shila met Eliyahu Hanavi. Amalei, my cover there, could you please tell me what Kadosh Baruch Hu is doing right now, the second? Amalei. He's saying over Torah from all the Rabbanon. Hashem is not saying over anything from Reb Meir. What did Reb Meir do? Because he learned Torah from Acher. But what's the big deal? Reb Meir Rima Matzah, he found a pomegranate. He didn't take anything from Acher. He only took the good fruit that's inside. Eliyahu says, Hashta Ka'amar, Meir B'ni Omer. Unbelievable. Because Rabbi Bar Shila told Eliyahu Hanavi, in this world, they are having a conversation. Reb Meir, Hashem doesn't mention Reb Meir because he did something bad, he learned from Acher. Says Rabbi Bar Shila, what do you mean? He only took the good, not the bad. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu starts saying the Torah of Reb Meir. On the spot, he started saying the Torah of Reb Meir. Reb Meir, Omer, all the Mishnayos, everything. Question. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't know that Reb Meir left the bad on the outside? What, he doesn't know? He needs Rabbi Bar Shila to teach him that? What's the obvious answer? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu bases it on what goes on in this world. And since a tzaddik said that Reb Meir is okay, he paskin that Reb Meir is okay, immediately, Torah lo b'shamayim, we paskin in this world. So once you have a Tana that says that Reb Meir is okay, on the spot, Reb Meir is okay. They say, I didn't see this inside, but I heard this, that the Rambam paskins, I know this is true, because the Rambam paskins, what? No, he paskins that if you believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a guf, then you don't get Gan Eden, you're out of Gan Eden. And the Ravid argues on the Rambam. He says, you do go to Gan Eden. So the Megala Amukas says, and I think it's the Megala Amukas, he says, what happened was, as soon as the Rambam said, and paskin, in his Rambam, that you go out of Gan Eden, a bunch of tzaddikim from Gan Eden got tossed out of Gan Eden. Because they believed in their lifetime that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a guf, so to speak, like Tzura. Came the Ravid and argued on the Rambam only to put them back in Gan Eden. That's what the Megala Amukas says. Because it has to do with this world. Zok to Gemara. As you go, Bizman Shodom and Star, Shechina, Ba'aloshon Umeres, Kalani Meroishi, Kalani Mizroi. Kalani is a loshon of kal. In other words, it's the opposite. Hashem is saying, my head is heavy, my arms are heavy. That what? Bizman Shodom Mitztayer, when a person is Mitztayer, See if I can find this. Here we go. No, not this. I got to show you this. Here we go. Kilanim Israel, Kilanim Israel. So Akash Baruch Hu has tsar with a person that's b'tsar. Last night, I was learning this Gemara, and I got a text. I shouldn't have looked. Every time I look, it's not good. And a guy says, he says his name, and he says, you're Talmud from Borough Park. Unfortunately, I'm now in the delivery room, but the baby had no heartbeat, stillborn. Not long ago, you're talking about Nephalim, how to handle it. Not to get attached emotionally, etc. Unfortunately, now it comes to hand. I never learned like I do with you. Hashem sent me you to support me in this difficult time. And I told him a thing, I said, and then he said, I just have to tell you that that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me a Refuah before the Makkah. I told him to give me his name and his wife's name, and I'm going to down for them, and I'm learning for them now. For they should see simchas. But I told him that I'm punkt learning. I'm mamish this second learning this idea of Kilani Mizrahi, Kilani Miroishi. That when a yid is b'tzar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is b'tzar with that yid. Mamish as I was learning it. Okay, Zog the Gemara. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu has tsar when the Russia dies, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has tsar. You hear this tsar? When our enemy, those terrorists, they blow up, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has tsar. Certainly for a tzaddik. Shmuel was crying by the door. Now, I'm sorry, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is the Talmud of Shmuel, right? Yeah. So Shmuel tells Rabbi Yehuda, Shina, you sharp one. Michael Bachas, that was his nickname. Shinina. It says by Chachamim, Ayei Soifer, Ayei Shoikel, Ayei Soifer Samigdolim. Bekitzer, we're talking about Doig Achitoivel, the four who left. They were great, and they left Klal Yisrael forever. They lost their Gan Eden. Ayei Shoikel, Ayei Soifer Samigdolim. Those who could count the Migdolim, the Gemara is going to explain. Ayei Soifer, Shayu Soifer, Kol Oisish B'Torah. They knew how to do the chasr and the yasas, the ex-revav, not the ex-revav. Ayei shoykel, shoyu shoykel, and kav v'chamurim shabbat Torah. They knew how to do kav v'choymers. Ayei soyfes hamigdalim. Shoyu shoylim shleishmeis halachis b'migdal haperech ba'avir. This week in the Or Merkaz is a big article from Reb Schoenberg, but I'm just going to quote Rashi. Rashi says 3 pshatim. Either it's the lamed, and that's what Rabbi Schoenberg talks about. 300 pshatim, why the lamed looks the way it looks, and it's a vav and a this and a that. Or 300 pshatim in the Dar HaFlaga, or an Oyalois. Maybe it's all 900. But what did he mean here? He meant one of those 3. They knew all 300. They knew, they asked, they went back and forth on 300 times. And what about us? If these don't have chelik l'mabah, what about us? So Shmuel tells Rav Yehuda, Shinana. They started out, they were always, something was wrong with them. They always had a little fear in their heart. Okay, we'll stop right over here. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. Shalom, shalom.